What's up, my miners of intelligence and consciousness? I'm Rick Brooks, and this is Rick's Mind. Today with me, I have Loren Fjord, who is a trainer and a ancestral lifestyle coach and the founder of the HumanWild's Co. Welcome to the show, brother.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
It's going well, man. Good to have you back. And I've been seeing you've been pretty active on the gram, and there's some sort of challenge that's going on for the HumanWild's Co. And I want you to share with me what that's about, because it seems a little intense. I saw you kind of naked jumping into an ice cold river, and that piqued my interest.
It kicked off this morning. The gist of it is we're trying to do cold exposure for 7 days in a row. Today was the first day, so I started my day. My wife and I, we woke up to meet some friends down at the river. So we walked down there. It's in 30s outside, really windy. You know, your perfect day for swimming in the river. Walked down there, and then I waited around for my buddy to get there. Then we stripped down, hopped in the river, sat in there for about 3 minutes, and had a beautiful view looking down the river in the chutes. Yeah, so the challenge is just that, to get in cold water, whether it's a shower, whether it's something outside, whether you pour ice in your bathtub. One of the guys, Drew, I posted in my story, but he bought a bunch of ice, filled up his bathtub full of ice, and sat in there for 3 minutes. Yeah.
Dude, that's awesome. And what are some of the health benefits for the people that don't know of cold exposure?
Yeah, so in short, there are mental benefits, physical benefits, and performance benefits from cold exposure. Cold acts on every organ and system in the body. And so there's probably too many benefits to really list out, but I'm kind of listing a benefit each day. And today I was kind of talking about the benefit for men in particular of boosting testosterone. And there have been all sorts of studies and different ways of kind of quantifying this, but cold exposure and repeated cold exposure kind of day to day, week to week, and throughout your life can significantly boost men's testosterone levels. And then, you've got, I think one of the easily overlooked aspects of cold exposure is simply just doing something hard. You can stand there at the edge of a cold river or cold lake, and you can say, if I jump in there, it's not going to kill me. It might suck really bad at first, or you might think it's going to suck. It might be very uncomfortable. But if you kind of command yourself to do it, you control your breath, control your mind, and kind of put yourself in that situation, and you survive it, and you come out of that situation, you're a lot stronger mentally for it. And everything else is just kind of easier after exposing yourself to that. And I think the one that everybody has a little bit of exposure to is exercise. It acts in a similar way. Doing a hard exercise, doing a hard workout, and the endorphins and the feel-good chemicals in your body post doing that difficult thing kind of changes your perspective of everything else and kind of brightens your day. And so it's similar in that way. But so it's got, mental benefits, it's got performance benefits, physical benefits,
and sleep benefits, because one of the things that I started instituting, especially more recently, was taking a cold shower. So I'm on a different kind of schedule now. Life has just gotten so busy, and I started missing a lot of workouts. So today I woke up at 5, went to the gym, saunaed, and then took a cold shower just to wake up, right? So if you get in the habit of taking a cold shower, even if that's your morning protocol, the first thing you do is take a cold shower, you're going to feel more. It's gonna wake you up, man, and also help. And it helps with temperature regulation. I'm not 100% sure of the science on that.
So the reason why, and I kind of recommend this to people too, and I've got some graphics on sleep and improving that. But like you're saying, if you first thing in the morning, if one of the things you do is get in a cold shower, get in a cold tub or lake or whatever the cold is, even if it's just going outside and it's cold outside and you're going for a walk, it lowers your skin temperature, which increases your core temperature.
Yes.
And so by increasing your core temperature, it starts to wake up your brain and get your circadian rhythm kind of synced up with when you wake up and then when you're going to go back to sleep again. So on the opposite end of that, before bed, if you take a hot shower or you jump in the sauna for a little bit, it heats up your skin temperature and it drops your core temperature. And then that starts to get you ready for bed. So those are two kind of nice ones that you can add in there. And I
Absolutely.
guess while we're bringing that up, I can jump on there and share a couple more kind of circadian anchors that I was talking about on Instagram pretty recently. But one of the biggest ones that I have clients and friends and just kind of share with people for syncing your circadian rhythm is getting sunlight first thing in the morning, getting sunlight middle of the day, and getting sunlight before bed. And those kind of act synergistically with getting that cold exposure in the morning. So that starts to increase your body temperature. And so you're kind of syncing your circadian rhythm there. And then as soon as you get out into the sunlight and you get those morning rays from the sun, it tells your cells and your biology when you are in time. And that starts to sync. There's a little kind of clock mechanism in your body and in every cell. And then in the middle of the day, if you get back outside and you get that high noon sun, it's another way to boost your testosterone is just getting more sun exposure. And I guess a little side tangent on that. I was looking at some modern epidemiological information about how much time kids spend in front of screens versus outside now. And it's about 4 to 7 minutes outside a day to 7 hours of screen time a day. So just to talk about that middle piece of getting that sunlight in the middle of the day on our skin, on our bodies, and increasing testosterone in young men developing children, so, and then the last one, obviously getting those last rays of sunlight and then watching the actual sunset, and that kind of sinks you back in and getting you ready for bed. So those are kind of 3 anchors that I like to share with people from a lifestyle perspective. But
where are you on blue light blocking glasses? Because like the science is super sketchy on. I do it. I'm not doing it now, but like sometimes if I start having issues going to sleep, I think it works. But I also believe in a lot of woo woo. So I just kind of want to get your take on that.
So blue light's very important. And again, if you're, depending on where you're looking for, quote unquote, the science, there's a lot of people trying to sell products now. And if there are studies that are promoting that, then that's going to help them sell things. So you always have to, I guess, have a critical eye when you're looking at something that is can be commodified and sold, if the information that they're giving you is just so you can buy their product. Personally, I've played around with them in the past. Personally, I don't use them. And my kind of the protocols that I use, or just the habits that our family adheres to, is we like I said, try and get sunlight in the morning, try and get sunlight in the middle of the day, try and get sunlight at night. But then with screens, having bright lights on in the morning inside your house is also beneficial. Having the light from screens in the morning and through the day can be beneficial, because those are just more lights, and it's totally fine to get those. But then after the sun sets, if you are going to do a little bit more work on your computer or on your phone, it's pretty standard, or you can download apps that dim your screen and change the spectrum of light that is coming away from them. You can turn them down. And then also, we shut off all of the house lights after the sun goes down and just put on candles. We've got beeswax candles that we make. We put them on the table in the bathroom, and we just kind of do a low light thing. You can try and get most of your work done before the sun goes down. And then also, if you view the sunset at night, it actually helps you be a little bit more protected against blue light in the evening messing up your circadian rhythm, because it's syncing your circadian clock, and then it's less confused by that other additional input. So I guess in short, just kind of avoiding it, using built-in apps that, do the blue light blocking for you. And they do it much more efficiently, because they're literally like, it's telling the computer to not send that out, rather than trusting little glasses on your face, and then light still gets around the corners and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fascinating. So wait, your house is lit by candlelight at night. Every night?
We've actually sitting right next to me right here. So this is all beeswax right here. This is like, I don't know, like 5 pounds. We've got a bunch of bricks of them over here. Uh-huh. We melt them down and make our own candles. So we've got a big stockpile of those. But and all that beeswax is from Prescott Honey Farms. A little shout out to a local apiary here in Oregon. But
man, that's pretty wild, man. Like how long have you been instituting that protocol?
Past few years. Yeah.
You don't watch you're not watching any TV at night, are you?
Not really. I mean, occasionally if well, I guess the TV watching has shifted drastically simply because we have a 9-month-old baby.
Yeah.
And
congratulations.
Thank you. We're not too keen on screen time for ourselves, and we're definitely not planning on instituting any screen time for him for the foreseeable future until he's, up and bigger and stuff. Just there's no reason for it. His developing brain, he's got so much going on in the physical world, and he doesn't need to be entertained or babysat by screens and what that does to him. So by virtue of that and how involved we are with his life, we watch a lot less like Netflix or whatever. Mm-hmm. But yeah, typically trying not to do screens too much into the evening. We don't have a TV in the house. The biggest screen we have is my 13-inch MacBook. So, we might watch something time to time when he's taking a nap, but
other than that,
definitely
no
a lot
way.
less.
Yeah. That's just kind of as a father. How do you, because I'm trying to put this into words, technology obviously has a large role in our society. Mm-hmm. And I'm on your side of the fence when it comes to technology and like young minds. I don't think it's necessarily the best. I think people need to learn how to play. They need to learn how to be in their body and, coordination. All those skills are incredibly important. But do you also have a fear that like, or a better question rather is, are you going to allow your son to interact with technology because it is here to stay and you don't necessarily want him to be behind? So how do you plan on walking that line?
Oh, totally. For me, it's pretty easy, I guess, in practice, what I've got going there. But I just wanted to add to, you were saying, the dangers of technology and younger generations. Mm-hmm. I think all of us kind of hit a sweet spot. I was having this conversation earlier with somebody else where like the older people are getting blindsided by tech right now because they don't understand the power of it and how like things like Instagram are like controlling that, like sucking their attention. And I've seen this with parents and different people. You'll just see them like so mindlessly zoned in. And then, I mean, you can get that with any demographic, but especially older folks. And then the younger people that grew up with this tech. But then you have like myself, I grew up, didn't have a smartphone until like college. I mean, I was kind of like, I was a little bit behind on that. There were people that got it before me, but I had like a flip razor all through high school. Didn't need anything else. Got a girlfriend out of state, bought a smartphone, went to college, needed it for college, that sort of thing. But to answer your question, it's kind of, I guess I have a parenting principle that I think I'm going to apply to most things. And this included and also I think it's a misnomer. Maybe there are folks that think that because I'm an ancestral kind of coach, lifestyle and all of the above, I would shun modern technology or something like that. And that's pretty ridiculous. I definitely embrace technology and using it as a tool. But I think that we should have more of an appreciation for ancestral wisdom and understanding the environment that forged our genome and our biology, and realize that we are still that primal human living in a very different environment. So like our biology still responds to all the same cues, but we have drastically changed our environment in the past like few minutes of the 24 hours that humans have been on the planet. Like if you think about it like that,
yes,
like it's the past few seconds of that, analog clock face that we have shifted everything. So I think that it's important to realize, that just because we have it doesn't mean it's the best thing ever. And we need to be critical in deciding if something is detrimental. But specifically to your question, I'm absolutely going to teach my kid everything I know about crypto technology, like graphic design. Like I'm pretty savvy in the tech world where like I made my own website. I do photography, graphic art. I do a little bit of crypto trading. So I dabble and I try and stay informed. And I think that keeping like from a child, keeping them privy and aware and capable so that they can make their own decisions and they could know why they might want to be averse to something rather than trying to shelter them, you know?
Yeah. I agree with you, because I think you got to use tech as a tool.
Yeah.
But where a lot of people go wrong with it is, and this is just from not personal experience, but just things that I've observed are, you know, like video games scare the shit out of me. Like if I have kids, I am very anti that. I've lost too many friends to that realm of just playing video games all the time.
John,
you know,
which way are you agreeing with this?
I'm kind of both. Like I'm with Loren. I think like we hit the sweet spot. Like I, you know, grew up playing in the woods and in the street, playing street hockey, and then also playing, you know, Mario Kart or whatever. Mm-hmm. But like I think there's a lot to, you know, like preparing your children for life so that they're not just completely dumbfounded when they see like, you know, a smartphone or something.
Yeah.
But also not like, I didn't mean to mute myself. Sorry. But also like, I think Rick, you're a little crazy. Like video games aren't that scary. Like they're fine.
And I want to hit.
I think learning how to like play and then also step away. Like my parents wouldn't let me play. You know, they wouldn't let me play video games literally all day unless it was like maybe a Saturday and it was during the summer. Yeah. You know, or something like. Totally. But it was like they had to you learn like, you know, learn self-control and then you know.
And so it was kind of like a forbidden fruit thing for you. You know, like it was something that you weren't allowed to do when you wanted to do it. Let's say. But I guess at risk of stepping on people's toes, so I definitely have played some video games growing up, but I guess I take the stance as an adult, like I'm a grown ass man, and there's so much shit to do, from self-betterment to fostering a family and, you know, projecting myself into the future, that like I don't have time for video games. I need to level up my own shit, and there's like so many different side quests in real life. That's
kind of where I am. I never have time. Like I very seldom have time to play video games, and I use video games as like a form of like relaxing.
Yeah.
Sometimes when I'm like, I've got enough brain power that I need to do something, want to do something, but like not enough that I can like read a book and like really retain the information or something. So I'll play like a video game that's like I play like a city building game that's like creative, you know, or kind of something like that. I'm not much one for like shooter games or something. I don't have the attention span to do that.
Nice. Yeah. So your kids no video games, Rick?
I'll say this. I wouldn't buy them a console. If they decided that is something they wanted, and then, you know, we could figure out something, some sort of earn, like you're going to earn this. I'm not going to pay for it because I don't believe in it. But if this is what you want for your life, or not for your life, but if this is what an activity that you want to engage in, you know, we'll figure out a way for you to pay. Yeah, have some ownership over it. You're gonna have to work for me or something. You know, if it comes to like playing sports or doing whatever, like Dad's gotcha. I'm gonna shell out some cash, but I don't think I would pay for a console. It's just it's too scary. I've lost too many friends.
Yeah,
dead.
Yeah,
they're not dead, but you know they're gaming all the time. But you know, that's
recently a guy I met here in town. I asked him, he's a good friend now. I asked him, I was like, do you play video games or watch sports? I don't do either of those things. And I think it's pretty rare to find men in this world that don't really, I guess, do one of those two things or identify with doing one of those two things. Like I'll enjoy watching some UFC or like sitting down to actually do an activity of something. But to have that be like something you identify yourself as or something that takes up a large portion of your adult life, I think is...
I would agree. I am a junkie when it comes to. I don't watch them, but if I'm at a restaurant or something and a game's on, it's like a junkie that's around a big bag of heroin or whatever. I just want to mainline it into my veins. I fucking love sports, but to me it's the NFL, which is my pretty much number one besides UFC. It's like 3 hours and there's multiple games on, and I would just sit there all day and waste time, and I can't do that anymore. I've got too much shit I have to do. I've got this podcast run. I got a full-time job. I've got other projects I'm working. I don't have time for it. I wish I did.
Well, I guess that's a good tie-in to like things that aren't necessarily sports and things, but you recognize your shortcoming when it comes to, or the addictiveness of seeing or watching sports. I was having a conversation with a client earlier today, and they finally had this little epiphany of a certain food that when they eat that it is just like their gateway of like wanting and feeling more munchy into other things. And it like, I guess in the food realm, it gets a little bit sticky because there's actually food chemists that are constructing and engineering food to be hyper palatable and do that and hijack our biology. So that's why one of the things I always try and keep all my clients away from is natural flavors, which seems like, it's one of those tricky things that most people don't even know to try and avoid that. But short of vegetable oil as an ingredient to avoid, it is like probably the hardest thing to avoid. Like most kombuchas that you can buy, natural flavors, like there's chocolate with natural flavoring in it. Like, and it's a huge problem. Like, not even talking about the fact that like natural flavoring has its own issues. The fact that our food doesn't taste good enough, or that like what are the, I don't know if systemic's the right word here, but like what are the bigger implications of why we need to put natural flavoring in all of our stuff? Or do we need to, or do we not need to, and we're doing it simply because we can make things addictive and we can put in byproducts and we can put in other things that cause like long-term issues for people. So that's kind of a big ball of wax that I wasn't planning on opening up, but I
preach, Loren.
I
think you're right.
I'm gonna mention something, and if you say it's bad, I'm gonna feel vindicated, but also a little pissed off. I have a long-held conspiracy theory that I'm addicted to fucking sparkling water in the cans, LaCroix.
We got a whole rabbit hole to go down.
They're not good. They cause cancer. I know it. They have to.
Well, you're drinking plastic for starting. So, there's a whole bunch of issues going on here, but microplastics in any aluminum can is a completely real thing. Outside of that, it's hard to find any water that doesn't have plastic in it, but you can look up measurable amounts of plastic in a lot of these companies, along with the natural flavoring issue. So, yeah, there's a bunch of issues there. And so the addictiveness is probably coming from the hyperpalatability of the natural flavoring themselves, but then also, like every time I go, like, and I see somebody drinking out of a can, I'm like, you're drinking plastic. Like, we got plastic. Our clothes are made of plastic. Our food has plastic in it. Our food is wrapped in plastic. Our beverages have plastic in there. Like, it's really hard to get away from. And so rather than getting really kind of depressed about the whole situation,
I'm so fucking upset right now. I knew it, dude.
I'm loving this, by the way. I love like I do this to Rick all the time with politics and with like environmental science and stuff like this, that it's like, hey, here's this horrible feedback cycle no one knew about. We're dying.
Yeah,
but it's fun to watch from the outside.
Yeah, let me put a little positive spin on this though, because it's easy to get down the rabbit hole of how everything's broken and sucks and killing us. Well, on that note, we're all going to die anyway. So,
100%.
But to spin it back, there are things that we have control over. There are things that we don't have control over. And doing everything perfectly all the time is not possible. And so getting overwhelmed by thinking that, everything sucks doesn't help us. But taking tangible, consistent, small, simple steps and kind of implementing those into our lives, that makes such a big difference down the road. And it's something that is so simple. When you hear it, it's like, yeah, that's obvious. But I think the real crux there is that, it's simple. If you take a positive step and you implement it into your life and you do it daily, that will amount to big things. But on the inverse, if you don't do that, the absence of that is going to be filled with other decisions, because you can't do nothing. Doing nothing is an action. And that accumulates to take you in another direction. So we have people making conscious, good decisions to move one way, or conscious or subconscious or conscious decisions to move in a bad direction. And so one of the topics that I brought up recently with some people I was talking with was this idea that to stay in the same place, it requires movement, because time doesn't stand still. In the same way that if you're treading water and you want to stay above water, you have to move. maybe not a lot, but you have to move a little bit to keep your head above water. So this idea, like with physical practice in particular, with if you want to maintain your tissue capacities, if you want to maintain your health, if you want to maintain your relationships, whatever it is, you need to put in a little bit of effort, at least, if not more effort, to grow and progress in a positive direction. So, don't really know how we got there from the bubbly water.
This is good. I mean, you needed to say that because like I'm still processing the bubbly water thing because like that, dude, that's a bit. So, I don't think you
Loren,
understand.
what's your stance on mineral water?
What's that on mineral water?
What's your stance on mineral water?
So I guess the way to deconstruct this from the top to the bottom is there is the best water, and then there is the worst water, and then there is what you can get your hands on and what you can do, and also not being paralyzed by the information, but being empowered by it. So like I grew up drinking tap water, and that has pros and cons depending on where you're from. It can be much worse, it can be much better. But that was my past. Now I've been educated in different ways. I don't know everything, but I know something, and I can make better decisions when I have the power to. But then if I'm stuck somewhere and I have to drink tap water or some swamp water, like, I can do that. And I can, So I think that education should empower us. It shouldn't paralyze us, and it shouldn't make us feel entitled or like better than anybody else. So back to answer your question about like the best water versus the worst or mineral water. I think the best water, in my opinion, would be structured spring water from the earth, if it's uncontaminated, where your people came from. So if you, transgenerationally,
a truckload of water from Lithuania.
so transgenerationally, if you grew up on this one piece of land and this was your migratory area for your people, and there was water coming from the earth that was structured because it's ancient, and it's just coming out of a spring, that would be the best, because your microbiome is from there, your bacterial cloud, everything. You're sharing molecular energy with that land and with that water. That would be the best. Obviously, everyone's displaced now. We've polluted just about everything we can pollute.
I'm crazy with water. I have one of those like 2-stage carbon fluoride filter water filters
in a Berkey or something else different.
Yeah, it's a great value Berkey, but it's literally the same thing. And I drink it like either I have all glass. I either have like glass pint glasses or I use like a hydro flask.
Yeah. Well, and people can kind of make fun of being a little bit hyper aware of these things, but water and air are the two things. I mean, you can get into like state of mind and thoughts and narratives, and that stuff's pretty important too. But the air we breathe and the water that we drink is it takes up a huge amount of, like our ability to be healthy. Because every cell in our body is filled up and made with the water that we drink. And the air we breathe, like if somebody suffocates you for a couple minutes, you're probably going to die. Like, so we need the air, but then outside of like needing air, we need quality air, and that air goes into our bodies, all through our blood.
Yeah.
All through our
part
cells.
of the reason I moved out to Oregon too, was air quality. I used to live in Indiana in the Midwest, and like, you could look at the air quality report every day, and the lowest it would be like 70 with fine particulate matter, because there was so much industry there.
Yeah. And I feel like, I don't know, some people became more aware after the fires a couple of years ago here, but I really like the app IQ Air. I think that's what it is. And it has like, you can scrub on a map and look at the air quality in different places, and you can look at the different particles, like the PM 2.5s. Different pollutants in the air. And so we've got some pretty nice air filters in our house, and we're pretty strict about that too. I won't go outside and exercise if it's over a certain amount. But
really, I didn't. The only time the air has been an issue is definitely when the fires happen. And honestly, like last week, I think there was a fire in Camas, and the wind blew down, and that kind of fucked me up, dude. I got sick. It was awful. As far as water, I'm a tap guy. I drink tap water with ice in it. Haven't been too, and a lot of bubblies, which I'm still pretty upset about that. But it's something that I knew wasn't good for me. Nothing could taste that good and have nothing in it. It did not make sense. I'm glad that you've confirmed my suspicions all along, and I also do want you to send me that information. Wherever you fucking got that, you need to email that to me. I need to read up on it.
Dig through stuff. I guess to that point, so this with diet culture and nutritional eating, I don't know, the whole science and innovations of it. So you just said drinking something that tasted that good couldn't have nothing in it. Why would you want to drink something that has nothing in it?
Well, it's just like I'm saying, I got really into bubblies because I'm doing a 355 challenge, right? So I get 10 Mulligan days a year to like drink, to have a cocktail or to get drunk or whatever, however I want to spend them. Yeah. So in order to kind of mitigate my drinking, I would buy, like if I was going to go to a party or a gathering or whatever, I would just get like a bubbly water, something like a LaCroix or a bubbly, and I'd bring a case of that and I just drink it as socially. And then that kind of led into me going to Costco, Kirkland, and buying the massive flats of it and living the dream.
Yeah. So I guess a couple things there. Like one, if the binary question was you drinking in excess or having a bubbly water, the option having a bubbly water is probably the better option, right?
Right on.
Yeah. Good. So life is all full of these choices where it's not like we're not necessarily always going for perfect. We're going for the better.
Yeah.
But then you have to look at the fallout. The fallout is you're potentially addicted and spending more money than you should on them, and you got them all up in your house, and
they're
maybe
everywhere. They're everywhere, dude. I got like cases in the garage right now on deck. I'm not running out. Are you kidding me? This isn't a game. No, just
Yeah. So and two, I think that my goal as a coach is to empower people to have the education to make the decisions for themselves. And that's one of the reasons why I like working with adults. I work with the full spectrum. I've worked with from zero to the grave, literally. And I really like just working with adults that have enough future ahead of them that they can make a pretty good shift and they could, make something different of themselves. And they're old enough to take accountability and ownership for their actions and do what I tell them to do if they want to. But I think that people should be informed, and then they should make decisions out of an informed position rather than out of fear or out of not knowing, out of ignorance. And we're all, like I said at the beginning, like we said, we're all going to die, and everything actually kills us. Not eating food kills you. Eating food kills you just through the process of metabolism and creating cellular waste in our body. So everything is constructive to some degree. I believe that, we should choose our abuses and our discomforts. And I think that a lot of times you can choose things that have a lot of net positives. And then actually, kind of like, John, you were talking about how, to decompress and to kind of shift your mind from the intellectual side, you like to play video games that are kind of just no-brainers, just kind of creative outlet. I think that having something that ticks those boxes is paramount. But maybe there's a better thing that you could choose that yields more lateral gains in your life, that strengthens relationships, and again, it's not just to shit on that activity. No. And I think that we can do that intentionally and dissect our lives. I can do that totally. And I'm still working in that process of, does this activity check the boxes I want? Could it check more? Could it be better or worse? And just being deliberate with what we do, because time is very valuable and limited,
That's the one commodity that, I don't think people value as much as they should. You could ask Warren Buffett, he'd give you all of his money if he could be 30 again or 20 again. It's the one thing that the richest not the richest man in the world has never bought 1 second worth of time, right? Back. It just, you can't get it back. It's incredible, and it's really sad. And I think that, figuring out the best way to utilize your time is probably the most important thing that any of us could do.
Well, and all of these free social platforms are harnessing and monetizing our time. And I've been I talk to my clients about this, and I have this own struggles kind of in my own life with like Instagram, for example, is a tool. Talking about tools and technology, it's a tool that I use, and I am trying to use better as of the past couple months for my business. I want to preface a little bit real fast about kind of how I come to business and value. So like when I started my business, I tried to lay out the life that I wanted and how my business fit into that. And then how my business fits into that. When I do my business, I wanted to create value for other people, like true value, not money. And I wanted to create value for myself, not money necessarily. Like it has to do the money part, but that's just a lateral gain, but it needs to create actual value for me. So kind of talking to choosing the best thing that ticks the most boxes, there are a lot of jobs that I could do. I have a lot of different skills, but some of those wouldn't create value for me. Some of those wouldn't create value for other people. They might all make money, but I wanted something that fits into the lifestyle I want, something that creates value for other people, something that creates value for me. And to tie it back into Instagram, so I need to really be mindful to use Instagram as a tool as a business owner. But then there are other people on Instagram that I need to communicate with that aren't business owners. So why should they be on Instagram? And I argue that there is a good way for people that aren't business owners to use Instagram to learn and to connect with people that they could never connect with, to get an audience or to communicate with people that they just, we would never have that opportunity outside of the social platform. But it takes so much education and an intentional approach to not just get sucked down a line of reels.
And discipline. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Rick and I have this conversation all the time about how to use social media.
Yeah.
It's something, because trying to grow an audience on the podcast, it's like that, the amount of attention to detail and targeted engagement that like we would have to do, almost in a weird way would kind of make the show shittier, because I spend most of my time, if we have a guest on, reading either their book, like I'll actually read the whole book or look into subjects, and John's producing, and it's like we don't really have the time to like sit down and strategize and like so it's
you got to balance that. It's soul sucking.
We have to figure it out though.
To proselytize yourself in that way, and I've been working really hard at trying to. So like I've got young family, little kid. My wife works full time. We're both kind of stay-at-home parents while working full time, and balancing the leveraging social media as a platform to communicate with people at large, and being able to stay present with my family. And in the past couple weeks, I've noticed this actual shift in my mind where like when I'm being so present on social media, even if it's, I'm trying to reach people and connect and create real value, when I turn that off and go back to my family, there is a serious transition time to be able to be present again. Yeah. And so thinking about, the youth that grow up, and this is, they view themselves through social media, through that lens, not even being like, it's not a reality for them to switch that off. That is their reality. And that's kind of a scary.
That is a scary thing. And I do want to, I want to stay on this, but I also want to move on to kind of diet. But it's terrifying because there's so much. Social media to me is a giant lie. So many people they project the best versions of themselves, or like you can curate your own life.
You don't misnomers
exactly
to a huge degree. And I think everybody kind of has felt this and understands this. But having just my wife just had a kid recently. The area, one of the areas that's very detrimental, I think, is all of the cultural narratives and sayings and statements around like postpartum, bouncing back, getting your body back, going straight back to exercise, and showing off, like you said, the glamour moments, the things that are your life's highlight reel that might not even be real. Like it might be contrived moments that aren't even, your best moments. And then people, and it's the human condition, I believe, to believe that. Like we all know it's bullshit, but you're seeing it nonstop. So your subconscious starts to think that it is real and that you're the only one that is maybe struggling with X, Y, and Z. Even though, like, I think most people know what you just said, that, you know, they're just posting their best moments, blah, blah, blah. But like, there's a root, like, thought that's deep down that is like, really kind of thinks you're still the only one and everyone else is just having a banging time.
Yeah, 100%. And then also the algorithms too. Like I can't stand them. I miss being able, if you look at like a bodybuilder or whatever, like that's all you're going to see pretty much when you go and explore. Yeah. It's like, I really like to kind of bounce around. That's an interesting conversation to have is if the biggest issue I have with social media is it's taken away surfing the internet. There's a lot of cool shit on the web. Like if you just Google searching around surfing, that you go to Instagram. I think the majority of people nowadays go to Facebook, Instagram, or Reddit. And that's it. That's really all they utilize the web for. Maybe to do a quick lookup, but not really to just actually surf around. I remember, and I've started to do that now, and I've found some pretty cool shit.
Well, you can't use it like a library. And this is with the introduction of AI to internet and to all of these social platforms. It targets what has grabbed your attention. And so you can't walk past, like in a library, you can walk past the cover and you can be like, oh, whoa, that's kind of catchy. And you look at it and you're like, all right, that's great. And you can move on to the next section. Mm-hmm. But on any social platform with AI seeing what caught your attention, it will, like a Hogwarts room, like shift the library and put new books down there. And you're just going to be saying the same thing. And it's going to slowly warp and get more and more narrow into the thing that catches your attention the most. And so it really is this kind of attention funnel. And that's kind of tying back into Instagram has the potential to be an amazing platform for connection, value, and business. But because of the introduction of selling, marketing, and ad space and using AI to target people's attention, it is pulling away from that and making it really hard to use genuinely. And then if you want to use it as a tool, you have to be really tricky and you have to really devote like way more time than is natural.
Yeah, there's definitely a way. Now, another thing I wanted to talk to you about was kind of diet. Like, where do you kind of stack up? Because I've been tricked. I've gone keto. I had a great time doing that. And then more recently, I find myself being attracted to the things that Paul Saladino is saying, who's like carnivore 2.0, where it's like, I'm only eating meat and I'm going to eat some fresh fruit and that's it. I don't think I like vegetables. So that's not going to work for me, but I want to try it. So I wonder, where do you kind of stack up when it comes to your diet?
Yeah. So I've kind of refined the information that I have gleaned over the past decade into two very simple nutritional graphics that I have. We haven't talked about it much on here, but the Pulse program is kind of my social media exit strategy. And it'll be fun to talk about that a little bit here in a bit. But basically, where I stand on that is, taking an ancestral lens, looking at what is, I guess, to even simplify it even more, I tend to eat for nutrients primarily. And then by virtue of biology and things tasting good and the way that we've evolved, like things that are nutrient dense taste good. So you said you like vegetables. You like the butter on the vegetables. You like the sugars in there. You like those sorts of things. Like if you just take an unprocessed vegetable, it's not going to taste good. You like there's not a whole lot of vegetables that you can just eat raw and they're going to be as delicious as if you grill them and cover them in butter and salt. And then a quick aside to that, all of the vegetables we have available to us now were not the vegetables that were around pre like tomfoolery and like kind of Frankenfood status stuff.
They're all genetically modified organisms.
Well, they're selectively bred, and some of them genetically modified. I have a book on the shelf in the other room called Eating on the Wild Side. And it is a book that is, it's really brilliant the way that it was written. Each chapter is devoted to a different group of vegetable or fruit. So like alliums would be a chapter. There's like onions and garlic. And like nightshades might be a chapter, or like berries. Like there's one on greens, and it goes like wild greens to iceberg lettuce. But what it does is it tracks the lineage of the original ancestor of a food and everything that has been done to that food to present. And the references in the back of this book are like a third of the book. And like this lady even pulls from like Pilgrim's journals, like about corn, and like she's so well sourced. And it's really amazing read. Corn probably has the craziest history.
Dude, I know.
Corn with like an atomic bomb. Like we radiated shit out of that. We've done so many things to our food. So I guess back to like what I do. There's a lot of nuance to it, but in short, I'm not dogmatic with my diet. I understand that nutrients is the most important part first, because there are a lot of people that are starving on a nutrient level. Like there are an excess of calories, but there is so few nutrients floating around. And I think if I could share like one tidbit about nutrition to people, I would say that understanding that animal sources of food are the most nutrient dense. Like
especially their internal organs as well.
Well, I mean, even just the meat, like, and all of it. Like it is so far superior now to any vegetable that you could ever buy in the grocery store. And there's a lot of reasons that too. Because if you look at a vegetable, and this isn't just like a carnivore rant or anything. I'm by no means a carnivore. I eat a whole assortment of things. But like if you take any vegetable in the grocery store, one, it is only as nutrient rich as the soil that it was grown in. That's step one. Okay. It is most likely covered in all sorts of pesticides if it is not organic. And if it is organic, there's a whole host of pesticides that are organic certified. So I don't really know the nuances there. On top of that, plants have internal defense mechanisms and internal pesticides to keep pests off of them while they're being eaten. And if they're not prepared or processed correctly, those can wreak havoc on our own biology. So, and then if you introduce that into an environment where you already have gut issues, you've got man-made pesticides, plant-made pesticides. It's basically like toxic cardboard at worst, or just cardboard at best, coming from a grocery store. That's different than if you're sourcing locally grown, organic, nutrient dense, like fortified soil. Like that's going to be better because it's picked at like chief ripeness. But still, hands down, if you go kill a goat and eat it, that is going to have way more nutrients in every capacity that you could ever imagine from any plant. So I think that's the first myth. It doesn't mean don't eat vegetables. It just means understand where your nutrients are coming from. And then that can orient you. And then I would say, if there are two things that I would have people avoid, vegetable oil and natural flavoring.
Seed oil, man, it's the devil. It's used as lubricant, man. It was used for lubricant engines. Machine lubricant. I wanted to make a meme. I'm going to make it. I got to find a good picture for it. I want to make a meme that's like, when you find out, like you go to your homie's house and you find out they still cook with vegetable oil. Yeah. Shoot me some good pictures if you see.
Do you include olive oil in that?
So there's a hierarchy, and I've got this all broken down on my graphic for my clients. Mm-hmm. But so olive oil and coconut oil and avocado oil. So those are all fruit oils. Mm-hmm. True
good
olive oil from like organic, fresh olives and pressed and cold pressed. So it's not oxidized, stored in glass, not plastic, not cut with vegetable oils, not transported across the planet, has unique, amazing benefits. And it can be a great thing to eat. Same with coconut oil. Like it's a damn near miracle product. But we live in the Pacific Northwest. Do you see any coconut trees growing around here?
I have a lot of palm trees, but no coconut.
Yeah. So there's the ethical implications of where those things are coming from. But strictly from like a vanity standpoint and a health standpoint, coconut oil, for example, is often, aside from the ethics, it's like washed with lye, bleached back white, stored in plastic,
Gross.
rancid. So that's even the organic stuff sometimes. So there's that problem with coconut oil. With olive oil, a lot of times it's heated to a high heat. It's stored in plastic, so it's back to the plastic world. It's cut with other vegetable oils, soy oil.
Problem. That's a huge problem.
Like honey is cut with corn syrup these days.
And rice syrup too.
So I guess what I tell people is like, one, if I get tallow or lard from my local butcher or my local farmer, it traveled 20 miles. I know exactly what's in it. I can render it down and put it in glass. Why would I source a subpar product that could be like offending my body in a lot of different ways and the workers on the property? And like, so I would definitely say, and I still use this on my graphic for a gateway, is transition to coconut oil. Even if it's shitty coconut oil, that's going to be better than eating shitty vegetable oil. So transition to coconut oil, transition to butter, transition to olive oil, transition to avocado oil. But that's the baby step. That's the first move. Then get on tallow. That's just like full stop. Like it's been 3 coming on 4 years that I've exclusively cooked with lard and tallow that I've rendered myself.
I'm on the butter train. I'm on the Kerrygold butter. That's where I'm at.
There was a whole debacle with Kerrygold not being grass fed and yada yada.
Fuck, man, really? Come on, dude.
It's corporate. Of course it's bullshit.
Once you get big, you got to cut margins, and that kind of, I guess, dovetailing back into my own little plug on my exit strategy and the Pulse program and stuff. Like, I have no plans of getting big to the point of like profits for the sake of profits. Like, I know where my value cap and my quality cap is, and I know kind of what I want out of my time and bandwidth. And so that's kind of what I was getting at with I have this theorized somewhat social media exit strategy with this program that I've designed that's really a relationship that I'm building with a select group of people. And the value is going to continue to rise as I check out of social media and dump back into these individuals. But I have kind of a 4-tier system with it. And it seems really esoteric, and Instagram is a place that you blurb for 15 seconds and nobody really understands what you just said. Like the challenge, the ice bath challenge that I had, I have like 2 frames and a couple words that explain the 2 rules, and almost nobody got the second rule. So like, it's a really hard platform to connect with people genuinely. But I guess, in short, like what I've tried to make with the Pulse program is I've got the training components from flexibility, strength, skill, joint work. I've got the resources from the sleep work, the nutritional work. I've got the extra auxiliary work that, like if people want specific skills like ring muscle ups, they want to get their first chin up, they want to do parkour skills, we've got a library with that kind of stuff. And that's kind of ever expanding in the direction of interest of the clients. But what I was just like, I'm just going to try and, keep going and get as many people as I can. But then I realized that, like there's a point of diminishing returns. And so I created the first tier as the early adopters, the people that are already in there. And then I capped that off, and I'm going to let a few more people in mid-November. And I've already got kind of a wait list coming where I'm kind of interviewing them per se and getting a little bit of information and seeing if they're a good fit for it. And then I'm going to let those people in mid-November. And then I'm closing it off again. And there's only going to be 2 more tiers. And they're going to be in 2023. So a little bit different structure. And the price point goes up every tier. So the cheapest time to get in is right now. And then it goes up a little bit and it goes up a little bit. And the final price for the 4th tier is still pennies on the dollar for value. And obviously, anybody that's listened to me for any length of time realizes that I don't think value equals money. Money is a tool, just like everything else we've been talking about. But even if you were looking at it from like a 1=1 standpoint, still super cheap for what it is, and the kind of the relationship that I'm planning on building with these people. And
I'm doing it. I just want to let you guys
I didn't know if we want to throw anyone under the bus, but both you guys are.
We're doing terrible.
are on your way.
Yeah, we have a lot of work to do for sure. But I will say any of the knee stuff because I'm obsessed. And I've done one of the knee workouts, and it's a lot of like. Well, I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. It's awful. I suck at it. It's very uncomfortable, but it's good. You're using. Yeah. I'm using my knees in a different. I don't even know.
So I guess
in the actual way they're in.
I mean, your viewers probably already know this, but I'll preface for your viewers real quick. Rick can squat a shit ton of weight with 2 legs on the ground.
Yeah.
But a lot of the work that I do in the program is focusing on 1 leg at a time. And so we do squatting and we do some deadlifting and stuff from time to time. But I think that building up your capacity to utilize 1 leg makes both legs have the ability to work independently.
Yep.
And you can be more intelligent on 1 leg or the other. Yep. And each joint has to carry the workload the joint is supposed to. So your ankle has to work like an ankle, your knee has to work like a knee, your hip has to work like a hip. Yep. And like I was working with an older client, I still do clients in person the other day, and we were just working on single leg squats off a chair. And we were doing it on kind of a squishy surface. So there's a lot of balance required and a little bit of stability. And it's like a single leg squat from the floor. So sitting on the floor, 1 leg's off the ground, 1 leg sucks up by your butt, and you should stand up.
I can't do that.
That is impressive to people. It shouldn't be.
I can't do that.
I've met people in their 60s can easily do a body weight because it is relative to your body weight. Mm-hmm. So building up that capacity and then going over to squatting heavy, working with adults, we all have history and baggage, and you can't start over. So I think even if you don't achieve a full pistol squat from a balance standpoint, because you obviously have the strength in 1 leg to lift your body weight, but you can't get stacked and you can't get over that leg. So even if you spend time improving that single leg capability and you improve it 10%, your 2 leg squatting ability will increase and everything. There's so many lateral gains to that.
So the toughest part for me in getting engaged is I'm gonna after doing that 1 leg knee workout, it was pretty evident that I need you to coach, and I like to just do so it's time consuming, but it's very necessary for me to do this. Very evident because there was just a lot of shit. I was like, the movements are so bizarre to me because I'm not, you know what I mean? So it's a bit of a learning curve. And that's the great thing I love about the Pulse program is I can video myself. You will write me back pretty fucking quickly telling me what I'm doing wrong. And also just the encouragement and, the fact that, but John, you're doing it as well, correct? Yeah. So we need to have a competition and put some money on this because we need to make sure. Because I know you're missing workouts, motherfucker. I know I am.
Oh yeah.
I still need to.
I'm working.
Test.
Yeah. Okay. I'm working on mine. I'm getting back in shape. I had I've talked about it a ton on the show. I had COVID a few years ago, and between that and then mental health struggles, it's been difficult to kind of get myself back in a groove, but I feel like I've kind of broken through the wall that I was at, that now it's my diet isn't difficult to do anymore. Getting myself motivated to work out is not hard, and actually doing the workout is pretty easy.
Well, to that end, I just wanted to bring it real quick. So there's obviously the physical component to in your week, you've got your flexibility sessions that I try and keep pretty short. You've got your joint work, you've got your strength work, some skill, blah, blah, blah. That is important. And for some people, competitive motivation is helpful, as long as it is helpful to you. But to the point that I genuinely develop pretty amazing relationships with everybody that I allow into the Pulse program. And it is a two-way street, like any relationship. Like Rick was saying, you didn't like filming yourself, but if you get a tiny little tripod, you film yourself, we communicate, you're going to fix your shit and you're going to do it faster. But
don't try to get him to buy stuff. He still gives me shit about buying microphones.
I got it. I'm going to do it.
But to that end, John, talking about your past, your struggles with, all of these different things. I am a lifestyle coach, and I do work with people on a lot of different things outside of the physical. And just one of the clients in the Pulse program that's been in there for a long time, he just I've been helping him kind of with, it sounds funny to talk about, with public speaking. And he, yeah, I mean, I'm right there with him, where I hate seeing my face on a screen and talking to it. I'm doing pretty good today, but my
Rick doesn't
brain,
have that problem.
my brain goes kind of blank when I get into that situation. Whereas like if I'm in an actual situation, having a conversation in person, I just feel supernatural doing that with strangers and people I know. But just to wrap that point up, like I love helping people with all dimensions of their life, not just like if you try and divorce the physical from the mental or spiritual, relationships, like it's all intertwined. And modern culture has tried to archetype the bookworm, the jock, like all of these kind of things. It's just total bullshit to separate those. And, the philosophers, like Greek philosophers, were so on point. We still quote them today. Everyone talks about that. But those were people that had physical practices that were very intellectual, and the two spur on each other. Like the more physically capable you are, the better your brain works. And then the better your brain works, the more you can work your physical body. Like I took up jujitsu recently, and that's a perfect example, like fighting and grappling, and like the metaphor of grappling with a problem intellectually. Like when you do jujitsu, you're literally trying to intellectually chess move your way through a physical situation.
Yeah.
I did Taekwondo for a while, and I'd love to do that again. I did do, when I was in college, I took several PAC classes that were Tai Chi.
Yeah.
And that was really nice. I enjoyed that a lot.
Yeah.
Josh Waitskin, you should read his book, The Art of Learning, John, if you get a chance. It's a fantastic book. But Loren, I want to be respectful of your time. So tell people, how can they find out more about the Pulse program, and how do you join? What's your socials, all that good stuff?
Yeah. So I keep it simple. It's HumanWild.co is both the website and the Instagram. It's .co. HumanWild.co. On both of those, there is a little application button. So like if you go to the online training on my website, it shows you the tiers and the price points. The one in November is the only one open this year. There's a few spots. It's going to sell out here by November 15th. And then the other two tiers are both more expensive, and they won't open up until sometime in 2023. But basically what I'm doing right now is I'm booking free calls with people. I want to connect with you, learn a little bit more about your life. And then if you think you're a good fit and I think you're a good fit, we can get you on the list for this first one. But there is only a few more spots left. I've got a decent little list of people that I think are pretty interested. So HumanWild.co. There's an application for a free call on my Instagram bio on the website. If you reach out to any of those platforms, though, I don't have any secretaries. It all goes to me. So pretty easy to get in touch with me if you got Instagram.
Perfect. You heard it here first, folks. Go check it out. Join the Pulse. And you know what? If you think you're game for it, let's get in a competition. We'll see who misses the most workouts. It's not going to be me.
I think this is the way I'd like to frame it. I think you should pick specific metrics.
That's a good idea.
And then you guys can decide whether or not you want to go off and riff off that.
I like that. That'd be fair.
Yeah, mine will be the knees. Mine will be the knees.
So rather than just consistency on arbitrary workouts, because everyone needs different things, but like a certain metric on the test or a specific exercise or workout, like one of the joint routines, like who can be more consistent with your daily cars?
I think that's fair.
I've been hitting them every day for the last week.
Yeah.
Shit, I need to get
I know. Rick is not.
No,
I got to remember. Next day, remember to mark my workouts. That's my thing.
Like in closing, I just want to tell people, because it's called Pulse Program, but I don't want that to just conjure like a PDF program that some schmuck on the internet sells you, and it's supposed to be like a workout. Like it really is. It's like basically the price of a cup of coffee a day, investing in your physical practice journey. And I'm investing and dumping my time into you and learning about you and helping you, get better at the things you need to get better at. Because Rick needs better hips and knees. John needs something else. So like everybody
probably
has
hips and knees too.
Yeah. So we all got our things that we need to work on. And when you go through the intake tests, I can help you interpret that, and we can focus and prioritize. And even as much as 10 deliberate minutes a day on something that you need is going to start moving the needle in the right direction versus not doing that 10 minutes.
Yep.
So it's not an all or nothing thing. Like, some people get discouraged if they see, like,
do you hear that, Rick? It's not all or nothing.
Some people see like everything there is to get done and they're like, oh, I'm not doing it all, so I'm going to can it. But I've told some of the people I've been on calls with lately, there's this metaphor that I thought of thinking back to my dysfunctional eating childhood patterns is I go to an all-you-can-eat Chinese buffet, and if I didn't leave hating myself, I felt like I wasn't getting my money's worth. But it doesn't matter how much the all-you-can-eat Chinese buffet costs. If I leave completely sated and getting what I need, then I got my money's worth. And so this is obviously very cheap for what it is.
I bet you just destroyed Golden Corral.
Yeah, but yeah, so that's some stuff there.
Well, listen, man, thanks so much for coming on. It's always a pleasure. I'm looking forward to the future. Thanks for including John and I in the Pulse, dude. It means a lot. And it looks like I got my work to do. I'm behind John. So, and also, folks, some people write in and are asking how you can support the channel. The best way is to like and subscribe. Go ahead and follow us on Instagram, Rick's Mind. At Rick's Mind and Rick's Mind Clip channel. Subscribe to that as well. We love you guys. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.